Good morning. I'm Berks County Commissioner Christian Leinbach and want to welcome you to our Commissioners Board meeting for April the 2nd. We are in person, also broadcasting via Microsoft Teams Town Hall and also broadcasting on BCTV. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to rise for a moment of silence, followed by a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll recognize my executive assistant, Veronica Lepore, to read the public comment notice.
Good morning. Thank you. Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams, Q&A. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the discretion of the board. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. The county solicitor shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Are there any additions or corrections for the March 26, 2026 meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We did have an executive session on April the 1st dealing with litigation, personnel, real estate, and security. We do not have any public comment on specific agenda items in person and none online. So we will go right into our first presentation. And I want to recognize Kate Rentschler, our financial manager from Budget and Finance, and she is going to provide the Q4 2025 fiscal update. Kate.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I am Kate Rentschler, Financial Manager in the county's Budget and Finance Office. Today, I'm here to present the quarterly financial update for Q4 of 2025. As always, we start off our financial update with a brief overview of what was included in the adopted budget. Back in December 2024, we adopted the 2025 budget with a $44.2 million deficit in the general fund and a $25.4 million deficit for all funds. Here you can see how we differentiate between funding sources to isolate our operating budget and further examine the county's general fund operating surplus or deficit. For the 2025 budget, we applied an 8% tax increase to balance our budget, which you can see here resulted in a net zero operating surplus or deficit. With fiscal year 2025 now concluded, we are able to report on several items that have been finalized. While final figures will not be available in total until the Controller's Office releases the annual comprehensive financial report later this year, certain items have been fully accounted for and can be presented at this time. There are several items that have resulted in a projected savings for the county. Our investment accounts have earned us $2.8 million in unrealized gains that we had not anticipated in our adopted budget. We also saw $2.5 million in savings in principal and interest expense due to the delay of the bond issuance from 2025 to 2026. We intentionally delayed the bond issuance to 2026 to take advantage of better interest rates. There was also a $2.7 million savings in general fund salaries and benefits resulting from vacancies and overall healthcare costs incurred to the county were lower. The 2025 real estate taxes, interims, and tax claim receipts were also overall favorable by $100,000. These were offset by two main items that were reductions in revenue, 100,000 less for interest and 1 million less for solid waste fees. And it's important to note that these values are on an accrual basis, not a cash basis, as the values I'm going to go into are. Moving on to our cash flow projections and related results for 2025. This chart shows our total cash projection for the year, which is the purple line, and the total actual cash balances month over month, which is the blue line. You can see that this year we ended with a more favorable cash position than we had projected by 46.13 million. This variance is made up of unfavorable receipt variance of 23.62 million and a favorable disbursement variance of 69.76 million. For the receipts, this slide shows our receipts projection, which is the purple line, and the total actual receipts received, which is the blue line. This chart shows pretty distinctly the impact that the state budget impasse had on our cash receipts. You can see that through June, the projections and receipts follow an almost identical trend. Then in July, our actual receipts dropped, and the remainder of the year, we saw an almost opposite change in activity month over month, with the funds being released in November and December. And while we did see an uptick in the November and December receipts, we still were overall unfavorable by 23.62 million. Our total receipt projection for the year was $438,917,533, with actual receipts of $415,293,728 for the overall unfavorable variance of $23,623,805. Here's a closer look at what was driving this variance. Our bond proceeds, which were reimbursements for our capital expense, were unfavorable by 10.5 million due to the delay in the bond issuance. Berks receipts are unfavorable by 4.8 million. This is a result of lower than projected MA receipts due to an increase in the average days in the MA approval waiting period process. The daily rate is reduced during the approval waiting period, and the receipts were not projected to incorporate the extended waiting period. The Berks County Youth Shelter receipts are unfavorable by 2.3 million due to Youth Shelter not having any out of county placements as projected. CYS and JPO receipts are unfavorable by $2 million. This is primarily due to the Title IV-E invoice for Q2 for fiscal year 25-26 not being submitted until 2026, as well as an overall decrease in Title IV-E eligibility. Aging block grant receipts were also unfavorable by 1.6 million. This is because we received lower than projected funding in both block grant base and supplemental allocations. The amended award amounts were still pending at the end of 2025 due to the budget impasse. COCA receipts are unfavorable by 1.5 million. We did not receive 3.7 million in opioid settlement funds as projected in 2025. However, this was partially offset by higher than expected prevention funding of about 2.2 million. These prevention grants are reimbursement based, so revenue is driven by vendor invoices as they're submitted. You'll see a corresponding unfavorable variance in disbursement side. We also saw an increase in prevention funding due to the additional appropriations made in late 2025. We also did now in 2026 receive that 3.7 million in opioid settlement funds. Our current year tax receipts are unfavorable by 1.5 million. This is largely due to the difference between the cash receipts and the recognized revenue at year end. Our cash does not account for the 60-day revenue recognition rule. On an accrual basis, the 2025 current year tax revenue came in at 175.1 million, where our budget was 174.1 million. So it was an increase of 1 million higher than the budget. The tax claim receipts are unfavorable by $1 million. This is due to our projection being based on the budgeted amount. We had significantly increased the 2025 budget amount to correspond with the 2024 tax increase, assuming there'd be an uptick in tax claims, resulting in more tax claim revenue. The total cash tax variance is 2.5 million between those two categories, whereas the accrual basis earlier I stated was 100,000. This is made up for entirely by the accrual from 2026 receipts for 2025 tax bills, which was 2.7 million. The other categories listed here reflects combined variances across all other categories. This is favorable by 1.6 million. This is mostly attributable to the recorder of deeds office fees being driven by higher transfer fees, interest income, and UPI fees. We also had an additional unanticipated grant in District Attorney's Office for Equitable Sharing Grant. And we've received additional PCCD grant reimbursements in the Sheriff's Office for prior year deputy training costs. Moving on to the disbursements. This slide compares our total disbursement projections shown by the purple line with the actual disbursements shown in blue. Like the receipts chart, you clearly shows the impact of the state budget impasse. October, you can see that our disbursements dropped because we started withholding payments that were related to the new fiscal year activity. Then in November, we released the payments when the state budget impasse ended, and there was an uptick in that month. December typically shows a large variance, as it does here, due to several budgeted items that are projected in the month of December, including the majority of the COVID community support funds. Overall, by the end of 2025, our total disbursement variance was favorable by $69.76 million. Our total disbursement projection for the year was $471,043,185, and the total actual disbursements were $401,288,052 for the total variance, favorable variance of $69,755,133. This variance is being driven by several key factors, including that we had originally projected $23.3 million for the COVID community support and implementation funding for Imagine Berks to be dispersed in December, but those payments did not go out as expected. The majority of the remaining funds are budgeted in 2026, with the final payment expected in 2027. The non-bond funded capital is favorable by $18.4 million due to several capital projects experiencing delayed starts. This includes the Vesta Refresh Project, the Communication Center GPS project, the skate park at Stonecliff Park, and the bridge maintenance project. Also, other ongoing projects are progressing more slowly than our cash projections had anticipated, such as the space study improvements, the wastewater treatment plant bar screen, and the Berksheim elevators. Bond-funded capital is also favorable by $16.5 million. This is primarily due to delayed or ongoing projects as well. The Grings Mill Bridge project is currently delayed, while ongoing or carried forward projects include the Ag Center Phase 2 renovations, courthouse doors replacement, steam plant decentralization, and the Berks Road Bridge replacement. This is also partially offset by the Liebert Unit Replacement project, which was added in March and not included in our original projection. The employee benefits are favorable by $3.4 million. About $1.9 million of that is driven by lower than expected healthcare costs. This is partly due to vacancies, which led to the reduced enrollment in our health plan, but also we saw fewer high-cost claims with fewer claims reaching the stop-loss threshold. In 2025, we also received $860,000 worth of stop-loss reimbursements, but they were primarily due to claims from 2024. The debt service disbursements are favorable by $2.5 million as well, and this is also due to our first projected principal and interest payment for the bond being projected in November of 25, but didn't occur due to the bond delay. The payroll disbursements came in at $2.4 million lower than projected. This is primarily due to labor shortages and higher vacancies across multiple departments, including information systems, public defenders, courts, CYS, and domestic relations. These savings were partially offset by the Teamsters resolution of their union contract, resulting in some retroactive pay at the jail, and then higher than anticipated overtime at APO, JPO, and Berksheim. The COCA disbursements are favorable by $1.2 million due to lower than projected opioid settlement disbursements, and this is offset by the higher than projected prevention disbursements by $1.1 million, which was noted earlier in their receipts explanation. MHDD disbursements are favorable by $1.2 million due to lower MH program services, as well as reimbursements received from SAM for fiscal year 24-25 overbilled costs, which were not included in the projection. The jail system disbursements are also favorable by $700,000. Part of this is due to the lower than projected daily population, which in turn includes lower expense for food, janitorial supplies, medical supplies, alcohol and drug testing, and catastrophic medical expense. There was also a significant savings due to having fewer juveniles housed in other institutions. All of the other categories together account for a $200 favorable variance. This is the most notable variance in that is the retiree benefits for under 65s, as that program is being phased out. This concludes the fiscal update for Q4 2025. Thank you for your time. I'll turn it back to the board for any questions or comments.
Any questions or comments from my colleagues?
No questions, but great job. This is your first time, right?
Yep.
Very good. Had a good coach there training you, so
Thanks.
great job. Yeah, good to see the numbers. Everything looks good for 25, so keep up the good work. Bob did a great job training and working with all of you as well. So
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, you threw a lot of numbers and a lot of information. I appreciate it. Good job. We doing okay? We're all right? We're good heading into 2026. How we doing?
Good. All good.
Thank you very much. Good start to a new year. As I looked at the numbers, and I can't go back, but it seems like we ended up in a much better cash position than we anticipated. And when you look at the unfavorables versus the favorables, they're significantly lean towards the more favorable. Do we anticipate any of that shaking out in 2026? In other words, are some of those driven by timing?
Majority of them, yes, are driven by timing.
So it's not going to be as dramatic, like 213 million ending balance is what I recall. Once things level out, it'll probably be closer to what you anticipated. It's just a year later. Is that fair? I'm looking at both of you.
Yeah.
I would say that our 2026 uses our 26 adopted budget. So it's a whole new projection. While we may have not received a payment such as the COCA opioid funds
Right.
in 25, we know that's coming this year because it wasn't received. So it may not end up being a variance because
Okay.
we have updated.
That's what I was
information
asking.
to include in our projections, but we could have new things that are favorable or unfavorable.
Just like you did
Yep,
in
just-
25.
It's a whole new year. So I think it's fair to say that, we account for what we know and can't account for what we don't know. And that's part of the update.
Bottom line, it's very good for the county.
Oh, yeah, we're
Yep.
definitely ending better this year than budget. And from a cash perspective, we ended better than we thought, even though there was a budget impasse, which is good news for the
Mhm.
county of Berks.
Well, always like good news. Thank you very much. We do have one other presentation, and that presentation is from our Children and Youth Services, and I want to recognize Barbara Jakubik. She is the administrator of Berks County Children and Youth Services and is here to recognize April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Barb.
Thank you, Commissioner Weinbach. And thank you all for having me today to talk about Child Abuse Prevention Month. We are a fairly large agency here at the County of Berks.
Turn your microphone on.
Oh, he'll get it. Not on. There it is.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me, all of you. We're a fairly large agency here at the County of Berks. We are mandated by law to investigate and receive all reports of child maltreatment, both child abuse and neglect. I'm going to talk a little bit about the work that we do and the data that we have and the numbers that we're seeing here in Berks. Next slide. So I don't know how visible this slide is for everyone. What we've done is a statewide comparison to a county comparison of child abuse reports. In Berks County, this data is from 2024. We're still waiting for the state to produce some of our 2025 data, but it's fairly similar year in and year out. In 2024, we received 1,186 reports of child abuse. Those are reports that specifically rise to the level of meeting the criteria outlined in the Child Protective Services Law. The majority of those reports were of a nature of sexual abuse, physical abuse, and serious physical neglect. We substantiated 122 reports, meaning only that number of reports met the criteria as defined in the law. Next slide. The next slide talks about child neglect. And as you can see, we have significantly more reports of child neglect than we do child abuse. In 2024, there were 5,935 reports of child neglect. Those are reports that don't rise to the level, but there's still concern for a child's safety. And the primary reasons for those reports came in as a result of drug and alcohol abuse, of parents of children, the caregiver's conduct, a child's mental health or IDD, intellectual disability status, and inadequate housing. And we're seeing that routinely again in 25 and 26. Housing, drug and alcohol abuse are primary concerns when it comes to child neglect. Of those reports, we screened out almost 4,000 of them and brought in almost 2,000 of them. And you can see our substantiation rate, that blue and red circle in the middle, shows that there were 956 reports where we substantiated that child neglect was occurring. Next slide. Okay. So just to give you a big picture overview, any given year, we're receiving about 10,000 reports. We get those reports because people call us directly. They walk into our office, or we get them from the state hotline, which is called Childline. Of those almost 10,000 reports, we typically screen out about a third of them. So we're looking at 3,320 reports, give or take, every year. Our agency is somewhat understaffed, as the budget presentation noted. We are missing a few casework positions. We have 23 folks in our intake department. They're the ones going out into the field, knocking on doors, letting families know we received a report of child abuse. We have 23 people then in our in-home department. Once we accept a case for service, we assign a caseworker to go out and help the family work towards remediation of the issues. And then we have 25 people working in our out-of-home department. Those are children in foster homes, group homes, and residential facilities who have come into out-of-home care and are now before the court. And the court is involved, the juvenile court is involved in helping to make determinations about what happens next. We also have some of our children in the in-home department are court involved. And so all total, when we look at our workload, we have about 20% of all of our work is before the juvenile court. Next slide. This is really just a graphic to talk about some of the things that help protect children in our community and what we can do to work towards prevention. We know that over the umbrella factors like domestic violence, parental stress, substance abuse, and poverty contribute to poor outcomes for children. But there are areas of resilience that we should look at with our children and families. Protective capacities include resilience of a parent, nurturing and attachment and support from family and community members. It's important to note that all of our caseworkers are trained, not just by our agency, but by the state of Pennsylvania. They all attend a 126-hour program in Mechanicsburg at the Child Welfare Resource Center. All caseworkers, all public child caseworkers in the state of Pennsylvania receive the same training so that a case in Erie County or Venango County or Berks County or Philadelphia County are all treated with the same ideology and information. Next slide. And here's just some information of what we can do as a community to work towards preventing child abuse. Going out into the field can be very difficult. Parents often really struggle finding out that they've been reported for a child abuse report. And so helping them understand who their supports are, friends, neighbors, community members, churches, schools, building a support network around them is an important process. We encourage the community to report allegations of child abuse, either to Childline, which is the state hotline, and the number is there on the screen. It's 1-800-932-0313, or by calling our office directly at 6700, of course, that's 610 area code, and letting us know. If you're not sure, report it. We can make those decisions. We have 2 units that's what they do. They screen calls, they bring in information, write up a report, and work with the supervisor about whether or not it rises to the level for us to get involved. And again, just circling back, more than a third of the cases, about a third of the cases come in, meaning 2/3 of the cases do not. So when in doubt, please call and let us know. And that's all I have. Does anyone have questions?
Gentlemen. We'd like you to stand here with us in recognition of the important work that you do. And often when I'm at orientation, we just talked 2 days ago, I guess, about this. When I see new employees coming in children and youth, I let them know that's one of the toughest departments, and yet it's one of the most important, that you're dealing often with families under the worst circumstances that you can imagine. And you have to make very difficult determinations. So when we look at what you do, we really appreciate you and the entire team at Children and Youth Services. But additionally, we want to make a proclamation. I'm not going to read it, but all 3 commissioners have signed it, recognizing April as Child Abuse Prevention Month, bringing this to the attention of the public so that they are aware. Bring it to the attention of moms and dads and relatives. We want to protect our children. They are our next generation. So I'd like to give this to you on behalf of the commissioners. And Larry, if you could take a picture. I know Jonathan is away, but just, yeah, we'll step out here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And our staff do too.
So
Thank
for what
you.
do. And my colleagues, if you'd like to make any comments, please feel free.
I just want to thank Barb and her team for the work that they do. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to go out with one of their caseworkers and visit actually a few families and situations. And it's, like you said, it's not easy work. It's very hard. It's stressful to go into a house where you know you're probably not wanted there. So you know, it's hard, and you have a lot of younger, yes, you could say younger kids working there. And so it's not easy to get out there and do the job that they do and make sure that our kids are safe. But I do want to reemphasize something that Barb said, and that is if you see something, if you think it's abuse or if you think it's neglect and you're not sure, reach out and let them determine whether it is or not, because you never know if that could help save a child's life or not, or help keep a family together. So if you see something, please reach out and make it known so that it can be looked into. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Rivera. Commissioner Santoni.
Just to add also, thank you, Barb, for you and your team and all the great work that you do. I know it's very challenging, but you guys do a terrific job. And I know that we focus at April being the month that we recognize you as National Child Abuse Prevention Month, but I think it's important that we remember the importance of taking care of our kids every month of the year, not just in April. But it's good that we've been able to focus this month and put the spotlight on the importance of all the work that you do. But to let our public know that it's an ongoing challenge that happens every single day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Continuing with the agenda. Item 1, authorizing under that budget department, adopt a resolution authorizing 2025 budget transfers in the amount of $23,970 and 2025 appropriations in the amount of $13,579 and 2026 appropriations in the amount of $3,348,399 per listing dated March 27th of 2026. Several items are listed under the Commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute and submit Exhibit G6 Remnant Defendants Combined Subdivision Participation and Release Form. Upon the submission of the executed form, the County of Berks is eligible to be included in the initial participation calculations and payment eligibility under the 6 Remnant Defendant Opioid Settlement. This resolution shall further authorize the chair to execute all documents and agreements necessary to participate in the settlement and obtain the settlement funds. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing the execution of a letter of support to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation on behalf of Carbon County, the sponsoring agency for the grant funding federal fiscal years 26-27 Community Traffic Safety Project Program. The grant is shared with counties and provides the ability to conduct educational programs to the public and in schools, as well as law enforcement agencies. Item C, adopt a resolution authorizing Brendan Lederer, Director, Berks County Parks and Rec Department, to execute the City of Reading's hold harmless indemnification agreement for the rental of a stage from the City of Reading, and further authorizing the execution of any and all additional documents necessary to facilitate the stage rental from the City of Reading. The documents authorized by this resolution shall be subject to final review and approval by the Berks County Solicitor's Office. Item D, adopt a resolution authorizing the Director of Facilities and Operations, or in his or her absence, the Deputy Director of Facilities and Operations, to execute applications for builder's risk insurance through EHD, including any required notifications, acknowledgments, or other necessary documents for the following capital projects: renovations to the Ag Center, renovations to the former Community Reentry Center for Youth Detention, renovations to the Courthouse and Services Center, courthouse doors, and steam plant decentralization. Item E, adopt a resolution authorizing the chair to execute Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency 2025-2020 through 27 Violence and Delinquency Prevention Program grant application. This resolution shall further authorize the Chief Operations Officer to execute all documents and agreements necessary to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant. Item 2, a motion to authorize the execution of contract agreements and amendments as set forth on the contract agenda listing dated March the 30th of 2026. There are a total of 10 contracts. There's one with the Area Agency on Aging. There are 2 with Children and Youth Services, 1 with the Commissioners, 1 with Facilities and Operations, 1 with Human Resources, 2 with Information Systems, 1 with the Berks County Jail, and 1 with Purchasing. Item 3, a motion to authorize the execution of payments and electronic transfers for the week ending April 2nd of 26. Item 4, a motion to authorize the execution of employee payroll disbursements dated April the 7th of 2026.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. This time we'll go to reports of our treasurer and controller. Our treasurer, Mitch Darcourt, is out, but in his absence, online, we have his deputy, Linda Weaver. Linda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have an opening balance of $205,679,723.38. We have a balance to clear of $4,699,248.30, leaving us with a balance of $200,980,475.08.
Thank you very much, Linda. And we'll move now to our Berks County Controller, Joe Rudderow, with the Controller's Report. Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the week ending April 3rd, 2026, we have an accounts payable of $3,553,140.92. We have a supplemental payroll total of $922.34 for a total cash disbursement of $3,554,063.26. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Moving now to our Chief Operations Officer, Kevin Barnhart.
Thank you, Commissioner Linebacker. Our team has nothing to offer to present time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll move now to a revised order of reports from the commissioners. And we will go to Commissioner Dante Santoni to
Thank you,
start.
Mr. Chairman. Get the lead off today.
You do.
Just a couple things. Just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the events that I've had the opportunity to attend. I know some of my colleagues have been there as well. But I just want to give some of these organizations a little recognition. The first event we attended was at the Bethany Children's Home for a groundbreaking. They're putting in a new basketball court at their facility. They do a wonderful job there at Bethany. So I know Commissioner Linebacker and I had an opportunity to attend that groundbreaking and want to give them some kudos with what they're doing there. Also attended an event at the Berks History Center, the Spirit of Civility Award, which is done by a group called Common Ground USA. Which has a focus on bringing communities together and doing positive things with all the negative stuff that we hear out there from the political world. They want to recognize organizations in our community that do some really good things. I'm not going to give you the whole list, but just a couple. The group in our church in Antietam was involved in providing resources for when they had the flood a couple of years ago. I know a good friend of Commissioner Rivera, Pastor Camacho, the chaplain for the Reading Police, was honored. A group that gets involved with helping prisoners when they get out of prison to provide them some job training and some resources was recognized. And Alvernia University, in conjunction with the Jewish Federation, was recognized for their work together. Alvernia being a Catholic college and Jewish Federation working on the issue of anti-Semitism and prejudice. So they were some of the groups that were honored, and it was really, really a great event. We also attended the dinner for the Exeter Township Fire Department, where all the firefighters involved at Exeter and the surrounding communities were honored for all the great work that they do, providing service and safety to their community. The Limerick Generating Station, we had a great opportunity to travel down and look at the nuclear facility down there and all the different changes that have occurred over the years. Talked a little bit about TMI, and I can't believe it's been 47 years since the 3 Mile Island accident, but it's been that long. And nuclear energy is here, and there's lots of regulations. So we had a real good tour there with the government relations team from Limerick. I want to recognize my good friend, Senator Schwank, who was honored this past week at the R-Phils. Has a plaque now on the wall of honor. First and only woman to be recognized for all the great work that she has done in conjunction with the R-Phils, but also the great things that she's done for our community in general. So I want to give a shout out to Senator Judy Schwank for that. After last week's meeting, we all had the opportunity to go next door to the DoubleTree to meet with to attend the press conference that was held. Probably one of the worst kept secrets in Berks County, but we couldn't really announce it until the governor came in to make the announcement. But Reading is has been designated as a fan zone, along with the cities of Scranton and Pittsburgh, for the upcoming FIFA World Cup. We're working very closely with FIFA Philadelphia. There's games in Philly. The World Cup starts on June the 11th. The dates that we are going to have our fan zones are July 3rd and 4th, and July 18th and 19th. There's going to be a lot of fanfare, a lot of activities, not just in the Santander, which will be renamed the Reading Arena, but also activities outside. There'll be involvement with youth soccer teams. There'll be music. There'll be food. There'll be a real opportunity for the city. We're working closely with the city and the Visitors Bureau to provide lots of activities in conjunction with FIFA 2026, the World Cup that's coming to North America. The last, I guess we'll wait to hear, talk about the other one. I just want to wish everybody there that celebrates, upcoming happy Easter and happy Passover. And Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Let me jump up here. So, number of different items. Last week, Commissioner Rivera and I attended the Boyertown Area Progress Dinner. They honor an individual each year with the James K. Boyer Award. That went to Ellen Martinetti. She is the Main Street manager for Building a Better Boyertown. All three commissioners signed a certificate, and the two of us that were there were able to present that to her.
My brain wants to soar like a plane that will rise over mountains and the seas. My brain wants to hear the hum that flies from the data center through the trees.
So I let you hear this. Every year, the Boyertown High School communication class does a video on business progress. They go around normally to 3 or 4 businesses, interview them. Every year, I'm amazed at the quality of the program that they do. This year, it took the roof off. It was unbelievable. They took the theme of The Sound of Music, and they took the lead song, The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Music, to The Hills Are Alive with the Sound of Progress. And I'll tell you what, the kids just did an amazing job. I just wanted to show you a little clip. Most of the high school students that were either doing the production or were in the production were there that evening. Just really hit it out of the park. On Saturday, several of us participated in the Thresholds 9th annual Are You OK 5K run, or at least it was called a run. The folks here, obviously, you know which one I am. The young lady in the middle is Veronica's daughter, Portia, then Veronica. Then in the back, you have Barbie Lopez and Commissioner Rivera. Because I was the only one originally signed up for the walk, I figured, okay, I'm not going to be the oddball. I'm going to re-sign for the run. I ran a total of about 100 yards. And then I walked the rest of the way of the 5K. But not only did 5K it's like 3 miles. 3.1 miles. I was getting close to the end, and I get a call on my phone from Dick East. And I'm a guy, I can only do one thing at a time. So I'm talking to Dick East, and all of a sudden, after I'm done the call, I realize I'm way off the course. So I backtrack on the course and go, and I still finished. But I don't know
Sounds like that was
I
a setup
to the
there for you.
course.
Just saying,
The-
Chairman.
The neat thing is, Portia was one of the winners in her age group, placed second in her age group, which was neat to see. Needless to point out, none of the rest of us won anything in even my age category. We did go to Limerick Power Plant. This is a photo taken by one of the staff in front of the 2 cooling towers. Had a good group. It was very informative. We spent several hours from beginning to end. I think it was as hard to get out of the facility as it was to get in, and that's a good thing. You had to go through radiation checks to get in, and you may wonder why. Many years ago, shortly after it opened around 1986, 87, they found one of their employees was setting off the radiation equipment as he left. And they tried to figure out where was he coming in contact with the radiation. At that time, they didn't check people as they came in. He was from Colebrookdale area, and this is how they discovered radon. Radon is a natural occurring uranium breaking down, and we're in an area where it's very prevalent, especially in a basement. And so from that point forward, they test people when they're coming in and leaving. But again, a great opportunity. On Saturday evening, all three commissioners attended the Exeter Township Fire Company awards program. These were all the different award winners, spouses, significant others. It is a great event. There's no fire company in Berks County that does anything quite like this. Fleetwood, I've been to theirs off and on, much smaller event, but Exeter really celebrates their people, and I want to congratulate all of the winners that evening. And then on Monday evening, Commissioner Rivera, myself, I know, Lynn, you were there. Barbie, were you there? You were not. Veronica was there. We're able to be at the Olivet's annual fundraiser with Herm Edwards, former Philadelphia Eagle that's famously remembered for the miracle at the Meadowlands. He gave us the inside scoop on that, which was fascinating. I think what stood out to me the most, he talked about the importance of the huddle. And he said to parents, you need to know who's in your kid's huddle, because the people in their huddle make all the difference in the world. And there's so much truth to that. It was a great event. They raised over $167,000 on the spot that night. They gave everyone a number, and I don't think I put that in here. No, I didn't. I just turned 67. If you know anything about 67, that's a big thing with kids nowadays. I was given the number 67 for the bid number. So I sent it to my daughter, and she showed it to my grandkids. They wanted to know, did I buy anything? And the answer was no, we donated. And through those donations, they started at $10,000. I didn't donate $10,000, all the way down to, I think, 100.
Yep.
They raised $167,000 on the spot. But Olivet's, great organization. Special shout out to Rick Perez, their director, but also especially to Sue Parati and Angel Helm. Just a couple years ago, this organization was on the rocks financially, and those two women came in with their background, their set of skills, their influence in the community. They set it back on a really solid footing. Really proud of the work that they did. What was unique about this, Angel Helm, his cousin was Chris Carraris. That morning, Chris Carraris had a memorial service and was buried. And she was at that event. Chris was very involved in Olivet's. And so at the beginning of the event, they honored Chris Carraris. And I thought that was very appropriate. But it says a lot about Angel Helm, that dealing with that grief, she was still there with her husband to celebrate this event. I'm going to stop sharing. Go back here to the agenda. I just want to note one other item, that next week on April the 8th, we'll have our next town hall at the Exeter Community Library. That's all that I have, and we'll move now to Commissioner Michael Rivera.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. My comments will be fairly brief because most of what I had to say has already been said. And actually asked that we rotate at each meeting so I didn't have to be the first one to speak all the time, and allow them to maybe focus on something that they wanted to focus and not have to repeat what I already said. But I do want to start off with some Berks 275 kickoff event photos. I said I would have these. I didn't do them last Thursday because we had to leave for the FIFA event, but I want to have him here. And Barbara, if you can put him up on the screen for me. Go through some of the photos here. If you look at, can you enlarge him there, Barbie? The full screen. Oh, okay. So what you see here, there was a reception that went from 5:30 to 6:30. This was part of the reception there. We have Will Tobin here, who is the Deputy Director of the Veterans Affairs Office. Have Ken Borky, who now is the Executive Director at the YMCA. The second slide here is the national anthem. We had here singing, so it's Desiree Torres. She sung the national anthem for us a cappella, has a great voice. I heard her sang at one other place and asked her if she would be willing to come and sing, and she did. So thank you, Desiree. The next photo here, we have one of our speakers who is Richard Pauling, and he is a reenactor. Am I drawing a blank? He's a reenactor for Conrad Weiser. Thank you. He's a reenactor for Conrad Weiser. So that was great for him. He was a speaker. We had another speaker who was Charlie Adams, who is also a Berks County historian. And our third speaker was Floyd Turner II, who is another Berks County historian. He focuses a lot on veterans and things related to veterans here in Berks County. And then we also had here a group, the jazz band from the Reading High School, the Castiliers Jazz Band. They did an amazing job. These are kids that they're selected for this. They have to go through a process. Not everyone can become a part of this jazz band. So they go through a process, they become members, they practice, and then they go out to different events and play. So a big shout out to the Reading School District and their high school jazz band, the Castiliers. They did an amazing job. And then we finished the event with the kickoff. We had Colt Sparks, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. We had, again, the Reading Castiliers playing upbeat song, and then we had fireworks on the screen in the back to do the official kickoff of the celebration leading up to the 275 years, because on March 11th, we are celebrating Berks County 274 years. On March 11th of next year, we will be celebrating the 275 years. So again, a huge thank you to everyone who made this a possibility. And Barbara, were you able to upload the video? Okay, we're going to see if it works. We did put a video together that was presented there, and I'd like to share this. It's about a 3-minute video, but may have to do a little bit less because of the time.
Did you click has sound? Go back up, and when you share, it asks you in the little box upper right, click sound.
And if not, we'll just we'll do it next week then, Barbara, because of time. We have an 11 o'clock board meeting. So let's leave it for next week, and I'll continue with my comments here. So Barbara, make a note of that. We'll have it presented next week here. Okay. I'm not going to talk about the Boyertown area progress. We did that, spoke about everything that happened on Saturday, on Monday. One thing I do want to mention, and I thought my two sports-loving fan colleagues would mention it, but they did not. This Tuesday is the Fightin' Phil's opening night. I thought they would mention that. So for those of you... We
wanted to leave something for you, which you rarely do for us.
Thank you. So for those of you who enjoy baseball here and the Fightin' Phil's, Tuesday is opening night. We will be doing the first pitch there, so please join us to celebrate opening night. And we do have an election board meeting at 11 a.m. and that will be starting shortly. One last item is tomorrow the county is closed So if you have any county business, it will have to wait until Monday. And I would like to wish everyone a happy Easter. That's all I have. Thank you.
Row officers or row officer, any comment?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like you to mark your calendar for April 18th so that you could participate in the Missionary Sisters Nun Run, which is a 5K. Based on your story earlier, it doesn't sound like you're running them, although that's spelled N-U-N, not N-O-N-E.
Okay.
So I wanted you to be aware of that in case you
Well,
decide.
you're sitting next to my executive assistant. Make sure she has the information. And
I'm sure the Missionary Sisters would love to see you there if you want to walk
I'm
or run.
sure. And I'm sure a bunch of the sisters would beat me too.
They might.
But hey,
Anyway.
give her the information. Maybe I'll be there.
All right.
Okay. With that, we'll move to public comment. We have one in person and then a couple online. Remember, in person or online, it has to be germane. I think all of these are 3 minutes in person. And Carla Mannix, Sinking Spring, Topic Ice. And start with your name and where you're from. What? Oh, okay.
Hello, my name's Carla Mannix. I live in Sinking Spring. And I just wanted to give a citizen's response to Dan Muser's press release about his conversations with DHS that he released on March 27th. And I want to just leave you, his response was full of vague generalities, empty promises, and easily refutable statements. So I want to offer you some facts to remember when you are in conversation with officials. So he mentioned that DHS made a commitment to offset local revenue, which may exceed expected revenue losses, and make a one-time payment for necessary infrastructure upgrades. And that the majority of jobs at the ICE detention facility in Charlottesville will be filled mostly with local workers. That's what Muser claims DHS said. So I just want us to remember that when you do speak with them, make sure that you include the loss of local business customers, housing values, rental increases, the cost of everything will go up. So how is those one-time payments going to cover those? And that one-time payment means the county is going to be left with ongoing infrastructure maintenance for these facilities that they claim they're going to do. The jobs are going to be temporary. And more importantly, other counties have been shown that when there's a detention facility there and ICE starts rounding up people in the local county, that the impact on local workers is what is felt. Because in Texas, the construction and agriculture groups have already appealed to the government to say that racial profiling has caused a loss of labor. The construction time for homes in Texas is now doubled from 4 to 5 months to 8 to 10 months because they literally cannot find enough people to work. DHS also has a history of not paying their bills. So these promises that they're going to make these payments is meaningless. They had an MOU with Lehigh County, and in January 2026, Lehigh County Executive Josh Siegel said, quote, "The department's failure to pay rent combined with DHS's national reputation for recklessness, chaos, and public disorder warrants ending any relationship with the county. We will not accept their blood money," unquote. I really like that quote. He's your colleague. So you might want to ask him what drove him to say that we will not accept their blood money, because that is what they are offering. Dan Muser also mentioned that DHS promises to handle the increased demand of EMS services. In Texas, and these are the articles I provided with you, AP News found that on average, there is one 911 call every day, suicides, seizures, and now the facility down there had to close due to a measles outbreak.
Okay. if
So
you
is
can
any
wrap it up.
MOU going to protect Berks from that? So I just wanted to make sure that when you're talking with agencies, make sure you have facts and look at DHS's and ICE's track record on these items and know that those are empty promises. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, online. The first one is Lisa Gallagher in Spring Township. In response to Representative Muser's pledge to get reassurances from DHS in writing, I'm concerned that based on the Dilley Detention Center in Texas and the Whipple Federal Building in Minnesota, they are examples of how well oversight has worked out so far. As a processing center in Berks, there is zero guarantee or assurance that DHS will follow their own guidelines, even if provided in writing. Another example is Delaney Hall in Newark, New Jersey. ICE has been changing the dress code for scheduled visitors from day to day. People have been turned away because one day they decided visitors couldn't wear the color blue. They turned a visitor away because her infant in her arms wasn't wearing shoes. Shoes are a requirement, fair. But this is pretty good snapshot of the mentality of the ICE hires that likely will be running the Berks Center. Who is going to enforce the DHS written guidelines in the Berks Processing Center? Once it's up and running, who is going to go toe-to-toe with DHS to make sure they are upholding all the promises of humane treatment they pledge to follow or the environmental agreements they make? I have serious concerns about taking DHS at their word and also at the written promises too. We also have Jane Palmer, why I'm missing. My question has to do with Congressman Muser's assurance from DHS about the warehouses in Upper Burn and Tremont. You have repeatedly said that you needed more information and inferred that Representative Muser would provide that information as he was able to communicate directly with DHS. On March 27th, Representative Muser shared DHS's verbal commitments to him, though he still wants it in writing. For example, DHS promises to draft a memorandum of understanding to provide one-time payments for necessary infrastructure upgrades, including communication systems, utilities, and roadway improvements where needed. My question to you is this: why on earth would you believe anything DHS says, and why would you accept this from Congressman Muser? Is DHS going to magically create more water in Upper Burn Township? Will local officials be allowed unannounced site visits? You can't have ongoing transparency when you did not start with transparency. As if we don't know by now that DHS doesn't obey rules or honor promises, written or otherwise. These are the same folks who got evicted from their offices in Lehigh County because they didn't pay the rent. We can't judge the sincerity of Representative Muser, but based on ample experience with DHS, we know they cannot be trusted. I would not like to know your response. Let me just make sure there's nothing else. Okay, that closes public comment. I'm going to share a couple responses. Number one, I think this board's been very transparent about this topic from day one. We were the ones that went ahead with the town hall days after the announcement when we had virtually no information. My position has been very clear. I have had several conversations, all virtual, with DHS. It is true that Congressman Muser set those up. I have an active request in now that Congressman Muser said he would do, and that is setting up a call specifically for Upper Burn, Hamburg, and the county of Berks. And the two big issues that I have addressed that have not yet been addressed to the extent that I have asked. One is the fiscal impact, and the fiscal impact includes the loss of taxes, but it also includes the impact on first responders, the lack of local police in that area. I've provided DHS and the congressman with a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 emergency response that was put together by Brian Gottschall, our Department of Emergency Services. It shows exactly what entities have to respond depending on the level of the issue. I've asked for all of the fiscal issues to be addressed in writing in a legally enforceable document, not in writing to say this is what we're saying. The second aspect of that, I've asked for the right of the county to have access to ensure humane treatment. And Congressman Muser, I've got to tell you, has been very forthright with me and the individuals that have reached out to him to get us in contact with people at DHS. I appreciate the congressman putting in writing what has been said in those meetings, but some of the reporters will verify. Karen Shuey is one. Hannah, and I don't know how to say her last from Spotlight, both asked me about what was shared in those meetings. And I said, it was all verbal. I'm not going to share verbal information because until I have it in a legally enforceable document, A, it doesn't mean anything, but B, and this is more important, I don't want to get caught in a situation where I'm quoted as saying, this is what was promised. And because it was all verbal, somebody comes back and says, no, that's not what we meant. So I've asked, and I happen to know the Commissioner Pedora in Schuylkill County has asked for the same thing, for entirely separate meetings with DHS so they can focus solely on what is proposed in Tremont and we can focus solely on what is here. Up until now, the meeting with the governor and the meeting that we had with DHS, I've had two with DHS, but the large group involved both counties, and at times it got confusing. The more important issue, and I asked for confirmation and I have it in front of me, is that according to the AP, DHS is pausing the purchases of new warehouses and scrutinizing warehouse purchases already made, according to senior Homeland Security official. The official spoke on a condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly on the matter. When asked about reports of the pause, the Department of Homeland Security said in a statement that, quote, as with any transition, we are reviewing agency policies and proposals. So that's what I know right now. And as we get new information, I will readily share it publicly. Comments?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think I've been public about my opposition to the opening up this facility here in Berks County. That hasn't changed. I too am skeptical hearing the information that DHS is going to provide. I am very skeptical of that. I don't believe a lot of what they say will come to fruition. Been working with the governor's office in the attempt to make sure that they do what they're supposed to be doing environmentally, safety, et cetera. Governor is opposed to it, and I stand with him in his opposition. Having said all that, I think it's, and I agree with the chairman, I think it's important that we get as much information as we can to provide to our constituents if this thing moves forward. But as you mentioned, Commissioner Linebaugh, there was rumors previous, and now the confirmed reports that there is a pause in the purchase, and for those that have been purchased, what's going to happen with those. So I hope that the public pressure has played a role in that. I hope we will continue to do that. And I hope that at some point they unfortunately paid $87 million for that facility, which I think is outrageous. That it will not open in Berks County. So we'll certainly keep an eye on that and keep on top of it and provide any information we can with our residents. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Just to be brief, we do have an election board meeting that was supposed to start at 11. I'm also waiting for more information, and I'd also like to see what's going to happen now with this review that DHS has indicated that they're going to do. But I do want information. What we did get from DHS verbally, I would like that in writing, because that could differ from verbal to writing. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
meeting is adjourned. What are you going to take? Just a few minutes?
do you need a few minutes?
I don't.
2 minutes.
Yeah, let's do 2 minutes.